It's about breaking down those barriers to entry to play games. It's basically they want to give you the choice to play where you want to play and play how you want to play as well.
Hello and welcome to Thermaltake, the official Thermaltake Australia podcast. Today we will be talking about some more first-time stories. We're going to do a discussion of Twitch streamers moving to Mixer and talk about some recent incidents involving game companies taking advantage of players yet again. But for today's podcast, of course, you're joined by me, as always, your host, Sarah, and I'm also joined by...
Alex, hi. I thought I'd jump in.
Taylor, hey, what's up?
Lovely. Hey guys, thank you so much for being here and for letting me rope
No
you
worries.
into being here.
Yeah.
Now-
Just take the gun off my back, please.
That'd be real good, yeah. I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, you have to do the whole podcast and then,
Okay.
that's when you get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, I believe you have a story.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
start us off.
I brought in some tissues because I've been sneezing some mad loogies. And I have a story about it when I was in like grade 3.
Right,
I sat
okay.
next to a girl and I sneezed and a mad loogie came out onto her arm and she was like, oh, ew. Anyway, that's my story.
Oh, gosh. I'm really glad we set aside
I
time
didn't want
for
to
that.
do it to Taylor.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's you're
And
looking
you
out
as
for
well,
us.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
just in
looking out
case.
for us.
That was
Yeah.
a great story, man.
Thanks.
for sharing.
Yeah. Found $50 as well.
What?
Yeah.
Same day? Or?
Yeah, same day.
Oh,
Just like
wow.
randomly.
Just, you get the good and the bad, don't you?
Yeah. No, I just making a good story better, you know.
Yeah. Oh, hey. That's what you want. I think I've only ever found I think one time I found $20 outside of a news agency. And then I don't know what I ever spent it on. But that's the only time I've ever found money.
I think the most I found was also $50 and it was outside. I just left a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in a games club in
Wow.
some suburb in Victoria, and I walked around the corner and I found $50.
I gotta be honest with you guys. I didn't find $50.
No, you didn't even
Wow.
find $50.
I was just making the story better.
Oh, so you're lying to
Yeah,
our
because you know how
viewers,
everyone's like, "Oh, that's a great
audience.
story," and then
There's
they're
one
like,
thing people love
"Oh,
about
then I found
podcasts, they love
$50."
authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever found $50?
Sorry, this is a long-time listener, first-time podcaster guy. So
I'm new. I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
just give me a break.
All right. So to start off the podcast, as I will always do whenever we have people on for the first time, we're going to go through your first-time stories. So first time of getting into PCs, gaming, and tech, etc. I did ask you guys to prepare some stories or think about it. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Did you do the homework? Did you do the reading?
Yeah,
Kind of.
sure.
Yeah. All right. Anyone
Well,
want
Maybe
to...
Taylor should start.
Taylor wants to start.
Oh, I haven't got
Feeling
any.
really confident.
Okay.
Do you want to go, mate?
No, I was asking
you
if
seem
you-
very excited after your
No.
Luigi story.
The Loogie
Apparently-
story was such a hit.
Yeah, I
you
know.
just have to go again.
I just wanted to quit while I was ahead.
All right, yeah, sure, I'll go. I think for my first time building a PC, it was a long time coming because I'd been a PC gamer a lot earlier in life, like early 2000s era, where like you just play games on like your parents' computer, and like that was like the early days of the internet. So like you had like very like low level games that you would play that weren't like that graphically intensive, so you could pretty much play anything. So like The Sims and Age of Empires, all that kind of stuff. But then as you got further into like the console generations, I guess, which kind of marked game technologies getting more advanced, like having a gaming PC that was capable of running the games of the day was a lot harder to come by, and you had to have a lot more knowledge to kind of do those things. So like cut to midway through last year, and I was thinking about building my own computer. So I started doing research and asking friends who knew more about the industry itself and who had built computers themselves. And then almost around the same time, I got this job at Thermaltake. And that was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because it was like, well, I actually haven't put my computer together yet. So I was able to get Thermaltake parts on the cheap thanks to working here. So
Perfect timing.
yeah, essentially.
Destiny.
And I had Jono and Nathaniel, who used to work here. They helped me build it as well. So I brought the parts here and we built it in the workshop we had at the old office. And
Oh, nice.
so it was probably the best outcome in terms of learning how to build a PC, but also helped me be better at my job as well. Just learning how everything worked and where everything went. And that was just more so saving up the money required, and yeah, that was about it.
Nice.
Low key disappointed didn't get turned into a build video.
Yeah, what happened?
Why
there?
did it not
Yeah,
be
I
Taylor's
think-
first build?
I
Yeah.
think we talked about filming it, but then there was conflicts in the schedule at the time because we had PAX coming up, and there were things that just were getting in the way. It's like if we had to film it, it would make the build like 4 times as long.
Yeah.
And
So
you just wanted a PC. And...
yeah, because like I had the parts there for like a couple of weeks. Like they were sitting in the office, and then because we were waiting to decide if we were going to do it, and then they were like, "We feel bad. Like you should just build it
Yeah,
so you
just
can
build
start
it."
using it."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, but like if it's going to be content, then we should just wait." And I was like, "Nah, just build it because
do
it
it.
probably won't happen." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, cool. I built it." And so built it, and then I was able to snag. We had an old U71 case that was left in our marketing stock, and it's been there for like a year and a half. And then John was like, "Oh yeah, just take that case if you want." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." But it's
Sweet.
really large, right?
Yeah.
So once we finished building, I'm like, "Okay, I have to get this home," and I didn't drive at the time,
Oh.
so I had no real easy way of getting it home. So I was like, "Shit, how am I gonna get this frigging heavy piece of shit home?"
Lovely piece of shit you just built and like worked
Yeah.
so hard
Yeah, I thought
on.
it was my hubris. I stuck it full of all this hardware, and I'm just like,
No, you can't
I
take
can't
it
lift
anywhere.
anything. So I called an Uber to pick me up, to like basically take me home with this thing. And the first guy rocked up and he's like, "Hey man, how's it going?" "Yeah, cool." He's like, "Do you mind if I put this in the back seat? Is that okay with you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not a delivery man, mate." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, "Is
I'm
it still
coming with you,
is it
right?
still okay?" And he's like,
Yeah, you're just putting
and
the
he's like,
PC
"Oh
in.
yeah, let's see how he goes. Do you have it here?" Like, "No, I have to go get it." And it's like, "All right, mate." And then like I went to go get it, and as I was walking out with it, he's like, "Yeah, no, mate, not taking that by." And he just left.
Did you get to rate him?
Oh, yeah.
No, but he cancelled it though, which is good. I was worried he was going to drive and like expect me to cancel it, and then like charge me the cancellation fee and
Yeah.
just be a big dick. But nah, he was just a normal dick, and then just
just a
decided to leave me.
stand-in.
So we had someone else?
But then, yeah, so the next guy who picked me up was actually really, really friendly. He picked me up. He's, "Hey man, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey, I got this PC. Do you mind putting it in the back seat?" "Yeah, it's fine. Just put a seatbelt around it. It should be all good." So I put it in the back, and then I got in the front, and then we were driving, and he's like, "So did you build that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I built it." He's like, "Oh yeah," and he actually played games as well, and he was talking to me about video games and stuff. And this guy was like, had like 4 kids, like family man kind of guy, and he's like, "Yeah, like I play games too, but not really. Like I don't play many. I just have like the one game I play. It's like this Magic the Gathering or Myth and Magic game. He says, I play on PS3." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Yeah, it's like a card game on PS3, and I just play that." And I'm like, "Well, when did it come out?" I was like, "Oh, it came out 2008. And I'm like, "And you're still playing it?" He's like, yeah, this was like last year. So like the new consoles have been out for a while, but this guy just continued to play this game on PS3. And he's just like, "Yeah, I play a few rounds every night after I finish work." And I'm like, "Cool, man, that's awesome." And he was asking me about the PC and stuff, and then yeah, it actually ended up being a really nice conversation and like a nice kind of end to that story. But man, that first guy.
Did you find $50?
Yeah.
No, I-
Oh,
bad.
well, what's the point? No, what a legend. Shout out to that guy.
yeah, definitely.
What a cool guy.
Yeah.
I like him.
But no, that was pretty much my extent. Like honestly, I think with my first time building a PC, even though I had a lot of help, there were a lot of things I did wrong. And if I had hindsight, I probably would have cut back on a few things that I spent money on, because like I had a budget, but like I could have lowered the budget considerably, because like I didn't need some stuff, but I wanted it just because I
Yeah.
wanted it as a first build.
It's always a tough time.
Yeah, and like if I was to like, I'm excited in my next build because I feel like I can refine that and be a lot better at it. I would definitely go mid tower and not full tower, because never again heavy
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
And just I think have it a bit more streamlined and be a bit more in terms of like power output as well, being a bit more smart with it. But no, it was good. Just to it was a great way to learn on the job, essentially, especially for this job. So.
What about gaming, though? What got you into that? Because I know you're also like gaming as well.
Yeah.
So I imagine the gaming by association got you into the... I'm blocking your camera. Into the... we won't use that aside.
No, that has to stay in there.
Oh,
right?
shit, I've said it needs to be cut. No.
Anything that happens on this podcast has to stay in. That's the
Curse
rule.
me. But yeah, I imagine that's what got you into the PCs in the first place. So what
Yeah,
kinda got you into
so
games?
I don't remember where my video game literacy started, but I think like I owned a Game Boy. I had a PlayStation. I don't think I had any Nintendo console really. Like I think I had a GameCube at one point, but that was like way after that was actually relevant. Like I bought it like a eBay listing for like $100 or something.
Oh shit.
But no, like it was mostly to do with because I was growing up in Hong Kong at the time, so I was mainly concerned with like kid stuff, so like cartoons and Beyblades and Pokemon and Power Rangers. So I think that was like the offshoot going into like video games and playing big games of like those properties, and then kind of exploring more into that area. So like I think the first console I really remember owning was the PlayStation, and playing games like Tekken, Need for Speed, and stuff like that. A lot of games I missed actually. Like a lot of people talk about nostalgia for early PlayStation 1 games, and like I barely played half of them. So like I didn't really get too invested in that era. PlayStation 2 was where I was like mad into it. Ratchet and Clank was like my go-to for a long time. Yeah.
Classic.
And then of course like Xbox, when that came out, I remember there was they had these kiosks in the local shopping center in Hong Kong where I lived, in a suburb called Discovery Bay. They had a kiosk for the Xbox, and there was always lines to play this like kung fu fighting game where you played this blue ninja with an orange headband. I forget the name of the game, but it was super fun, and I used to go there on the weekends to play it. No, it was really
Was
cool.
Xbox 360?
No, Xbox.
Or Xbox, original Xbox.
Yeah. It was like a
Never
kung fu
heard
fighting game, and they actually had that kung fu song, like the one I can't sing because it's probably copyrighted. But
I think as far as I know, podcast is fine.
Yeah,
yeah,
just do it.
I don't know.
No, you got to sing it.
no,
No, you got to sing it.
no, not.
Was it the one that everyone's kung fu fighting?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ah, easy.
Oh, wow.
That's all you had to do, man.
Yeah.
They got
Uh,
licensed to that song?
Yeah.
How'd they manage
that was
that?
weird.
Wow, there you go.
But I used to play that game all the time, and then also Halo as well. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
But no, just a lot of influences, but then it just kind of came gradual, and then it kind of snowballed. But yeah.
Nice.
Is that your story over?
You've got your
You didn't
story?
use that code over.
Oh,
My story?
yes.
Yes,
You
finally.
got- yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
that's our
Taking
hour
the
up,
time.
actually. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys, so much for listening to the podcast.
Oh.
Taylor's story went the whole... No, just kidding.
Ask me a question, I'll give you a tail.
That's why you called
Yeah,
Taylor.
how long does it go for though?
Yeah.
A little while. As long as it needs to be.
So I don't know. I've been into gaming like ever since I was really young. So we played MS-DOS games, In Search of Dr. Riptide, Winter Olympics were some notable games that I
Winter
remember.
Olympics.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
what that was.
So that's what it was
That was
called?
what it was called.
Winter Olympics.
Winter Olympics. I'm pretty
Did they
sure.
just think there would never be another one? So they
Yeah,
thought,
I guess not.
this is all we need. Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think what really brought me into it was my friends up the road. They had a PlayStation. We only had Nintendo 64. Oh, I loved Nintendo 64.
I also never did Nintendo.
That was the one
I was the
console I
same as
played
you.
at friends'
Never.
houses. I never owned it.
Yeah, I think the first time I used the Game Boy was at a friend's house.
Yeah.
I'd never touched the Nintendo product
Same.
until then.
Oh, Nintendo 64 was the best.
Yeah, that's
Super
what I
Mario.
heard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think
Spent hours on that
I feel
bad
like
boy.
because I didn't have that nostalgia as a kid, I just can't get into Nintendo now as an adult.
Really?
I
I feel the same way. I think we had a
can't-
conversation about
We
this
may
actually
have.
because like there's a weird like disconnect with Nintendo. Like if you weren't a Nintendo kid, it's like
doesn't-
you have this whole aspect of your gamer cred that's basically a lie.
Yeah.
So like when people say like, "Oh, Ocarina of Time, like best game ever made," it's like I didn't play Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean,
And if I
did-
try to now, it's like it's not really the best.
Yeah,
you know?
it
Yeah,
just
you don't
doesn't
get it.
land now.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Oh. But the amount of hours I spent on Super Mario 64, probably 100 or so. Yeah. I thought I'd put a figure.
Put a
to
figure
it.
there.
Yeah, put a figure.
Fair enough.
Just thinking about it.
Gonna
now.
say it's 100.
Gotta
Not
go
sure
with
if it's
the
true or
big
not.
Probably over
Just like
100.
that $50 I never got.
Just add that to the pile of lies.
Yeah, but then I started getting into PC gaming more when my friends got Diablo 1, I think, And that was able to run on our PC at home, which is a terrible PC. And then Diablo 2 came out and we got that. And that was awesome. Except there was one time where there was an internet issue.
Right.
And me being like, I don't know, I was maybe 8 or something. I was like, oh, there's got to be something we can do with this computer that will help fix this issue because I so badly want to play. And I ended up blowing up our computer by flicking the voltage on the power supply from 240 to 130.
What?
Just killed
How
it.
Oh, I thought it would work.
How could an
fix
8-year-old
it.
figure that out though?
Well, I saw lots of
think you
buttons on the
just-
back of the computer. I'm
But
like,
what was your
"Oh,
logic
I'll
going
try
into
this."
it? Like you lower the power voltage to
No,
make it go
there
faster?
was no logic.
Yeah,
I was just like,
I
I want to
think-
flick this button and see
Yeah.
what it does.
I want to flick this button.
That's right.
That's be a quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can quote me on that if you want.
Put it on a shirt.
Yeah.
We'll add it to our merch whenever
I'm gonna
we
flick
do
this
any.
button.
I'm
just gonna flick this
Is that-
button.
Is that what you do? I want to flick this button and see what it does.
Yeah.
You just unplug stuff and plug it back in. See if it does anything.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I blew up our family computer. That went over well.
Went really well.
It turns out we couldn't play Diablo 2 for like a couple of weeks, and that was death to me.
Yeah, that's even worse than the internet going.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think we ended up taking that computer apart and looking at what the issue was. My dad ended up buying a new one because he knew that it was dead. But my brother and I opened it up and had a look inside, and he was able to work out how to actually put it back together after taking it all apart. And I was like amazed by his skills and wanted to learn that as well. And then I think it wasn't till I was maybe 14 or 15, my dad bought my own computer for myself, and BioShock came out, the very first BioShock.
Oh wow.
And my computer couldn't run it because it didn't have a dedicated graphics card. So that was probably my first experience with upgrading my computer. I bought a graphics card, a GT 7600, I think it was called back then, and it was $140. And for a 14-year-old, that was a lot of money.
That's pretty pricey,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I was devastated, but also so thrilled to be able to play BioShock. And yeah, it probably just grew from there. After my computer sort of was starting to die on me, I was able to upgrade it and just sort of take it apart, new motherboard, CPU, RAM and stuff. And yeah, it grew from there.
So basically, in like a parallel universe, when little Alex didn't blow up his computer, would you maybe have not been into computers at all? Do you reckon? Or do you think that it was probably going to happen?
It was probably going to happen anyway because I was so into games and
Yeah.
I didn't want to miss out on playing a game where my brother was playing and I wasn't. And yeah, we had a lot of good times. So his room and my room are adjoined, and he had his own computer and I had my computer. And there would be times late at night on the holidays where we'd be playing Diablo 2 and I'd be like yelling out to him because I don't think we had any like VoIP or anything. And my mum would come down and yell at us to go to bed. It was the greatest. Good
Yeah.
Bunch of
times.
nerds, shut up.
Yeah, that's right.
And my little brother would be coming in and watching us. Yeah, it was fun times.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cute.
yeah, it was cute.
It's a bit cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's totes adorable.
thanks, man.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So another thing that we're going to be doing in the podcast, which we didn't do in the first little one that was put out, we put out just before this actually, is we're going to talk about kind of recent events and topics and discuss things that are going on in the game tech world as they kind of happen. So something that happened recently is the announcement that that Shroud, a really popular streamer, has moved from Twitch to Mixer. Which is the Microsoft, I'm pretty sure, Microsoft owned streaming platform. And this just came, like 6 months or so, I think, after Ninja. Maybe even less than that, actually. Maybe
Yeah, I think maybe like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That
really
was a really big deal when that happened. And now Shroud's moved over as well. And literally just today, so that figure out which day this was recorded, another streamer called King Goliathon, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, also has announced that he's moving over as well.
Yeah, 20k likes on his Twitter, I heard.
Yeah,
Where'd you find that information, buddy?
I don't know. I just heard it.
Just had it in the
Just in
grapevine.
passing?
Yeah, just in passing. Yeah, heard it.
Yeah, and so I thought that was a pretty interesting thing because like Twitch has kind of been the king of live streaming.
Yeah.
And I thought you guys would be good to talk to about it because you guys know a little bit about live streaming and there's an interest there. So
Ooh.
I thought
I thought
having
you'd
you
be the
guys
king
in.
of live streaming.
Oh no!
I'm like the queen.
You're the
Wait.
queen.
Uh,
You're the princess. I think you'd
Sure,
be. Yeah,
we'll go
you'd
with
be a
that.
princess.
Yeah.
Give you a little
Yes.
crown.
and then Taylor would be
The pleb.
the novice.
The court jester.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. I was self-deprecating. You were just insulting me. Okay, cool. I'll see how it goes.
I was trying to think of like another role, and I couldn't think of
Oh,
anyone.
you're the town fool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you are,
Yeah.
the fool.
The town crazy man.
That's right.
Not even. It's not even medieval anymore. It's just like, oh, you're the fucking idiot. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I swore.
Oh, I
I'm sorry
swear
about
on this. We had
Yeah.
to beep that.
Yeah.
God.
Jeez.
More things.
that. I was
to
so
do.
careful, like leading up to that one
you're
time.
doing really well.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
But yeah, I think
You're
I've
probably
read-
the best person to talk on it first because you do stream. So
Oh, well, so did Sarah.
yeah, but just in terms of like we're the guests on this podcast.
Oh,
so.
right, we're the guests.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you're meant to supply the content.
yeah,
I'm just
true.
here to
Yeah,
like.
you're not running this, man. You're
Yeah.
just the guest.
Oh, okay.
Who the hell do you think you are?
It's-
Yeah.
you don't get the host role after this is over.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is that not how this works?
No.
No, it's not like a game. Like well, I call it handball, but I know other people call other things like Foursquare. You know how you like move up?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
Jack King.
Oh,
Yeah.
Foursquare. I love that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we called it handball because we
Oh,
just called it
handball
what
as
it
well, yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But, I know
But there's
people
actually
called it-
European handball.
There is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actual sport.
It's,
What do they do?
isn't that called Gaelic as well?
No, that's
Gaelic.
completely different.
Gaelic is its own like football.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, you have a ball. It's European.
Yeah, no, there's European
Just because the
handball.
ball is European doesn't make it Gaelic.
Yeah. They got a ball. It's in Europe. So what else would you call it?
I mean, you've got me there. I couldn't possibly call anything else. But yeah, so I don't know. I just thought it'd be an interesting thing to talk about because, like I said, Twitch has been the king of live streaming and live streamers for a long time. YouTube's kind of tried to
Yeah.
kind of etch into it, but like
I
Mixer's
say
kind
they're
of
still trying, to be honest.
yeah, like but Mixer's going big. Like they're getting big people. They're probably spending lots of money getting them over. Like I just think it's an interesting thing to talk about because it's kind of like, does that mean Twitch is going to die? Is that
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, yeah, YouTube is sort of like their own thing. I read an article about it was saying that Twitch has like 70 to 80% of viewership, and Mixer only has about 3.5 to 4%.
oof?
Yeah, so they've got a bit of a way to catch up. So I wouldn't say that Twitch is necessarily dying, but I think it's got to be more focusing on their streamers. Like the platform itself has got to be focusing more on their streamers. And I guess if Shroud and Ninja are looking at or have moved to Mixer, there's obviously been some sort of a bring over, a catch that they
Incentive
wanted.
that's
Yeah.
been there.
That's
Yeah.
the plan. Like it's when you were to spend big money on personalities like Ninja and like Shroud, it's the expectation of these companies have is like, okay, well, we'll basically get all that viewership over. And then the next step of that plan is, okay, they'll jump off Shroud after he finishes the stream and he'll raid someone, or they'll go off on the other places on the site and they'll find someone else
Yeah.
who streams on Mixer. And basically you want to retain that viewership on that platform. I think with Twitch, it's interesting because Twitch has kind of expanded its horizons past gaming. Even just the just chatting category, that alone makes up a huge bulk of Twitch's viewership. And the fact that they're owned by Amazon as well, like there's huge potential for product promotion through Twitch as a platform. Whereas Mixer is owned by Microsoft and it's very heavily focused on gaming, with like its low latency streaming, and a lot of it's like user integrated like systems like I'm still trying to figure out what they are, but it's like Fireworks and like Sparks is like these
Oh, yeah, yeah.
currencies. Like it's very focused on that gamer side of stuff, like the
Yeah.
leveling system for fans and stuff. So it does have, it's much more niche than what Twitch used to be, or what Twitch is now, which I think is much more multifaceted in terms of its content.
Yeah, I don't think Twitch is going to die because it's sort of slightly different in that Mixer's got a lot more of that interaction, I think would be the word with that.
Yeah, I think it's more focused on that fan interaction and that back and forth, whereas Twitch can be often one-sided.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to the bigger size streamers
Yeah,
like Shroud
exactly.
and Ninja, where it's like you got 20,000 people watching you. You're not really talking to every one of those people.
Yeah,
You
nah.
may be talking to one or two of them, and that's because like you know them personally.
Yeah, and you're limiting your chat as well with that. Like you can have subscriber only mode as well. So
Yeah.
from that 20,000, you're only allowing, I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, you probably got like 20,000.
I was going to say, it's probably a lot of them are subs anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, yeah.
But even when you throw out numbers like 70-80% viewership and like 3.5%, wherever the allotted amount of online viewership is still a lot of eyeballs. Like even though it is the smaller number in comparison. And I think with Microsoft's long-term strategy with Mixer as a platform, and they've got to a larger extent the plans they have for Xbox in general, I think they want to expand their live streaming efforts across all platforms, not just PC. So having easy streaming access on Xbox and having that go cross-platform with PC means that there's a lot more people watching. Like the Mixer streamers that I've spoken to at PAX that's just gone, they tell me often that a lot of their viewers are from Xbox consoles. Like they have
They watch on
Yeah.
they watch on their
Yeah.
console, so they have
Yeah.
those metrics to basically tell them that. And it's like, yeah, a lot of them are basically their new viewers watching on their Xbox, and I'm like, that is so strange to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
You'd be watching a streamer on your on a console
Yeah.
of all places. I know Twitch had a plugin app on PlayStation. I'm not sure if Xbox still has Twitch on their store
You'd
front.
think, I don't know,
Yeah.
that's a good question, because you'd think they wouldn't, hey?
Yeah, I
because,
thought they
like,
wouldn't
it's a
support it,
competition, it's-
especially moving forward because they're paying money for all these streamers. But yeah, it's a weird thing to think about where it's like, I get being able to have the ability to stream from your console, but to actually watch a stream on your console seems a bit foreign to me.
Chatting with your console would be so awful.
Yeah.
Like actually trying to talk in the chat. Because like I used to freaking hate like mashing the buttons to get to the keyboard. Like I just
Yeah.
hate console
We
keyboards.
should zoom in on your face when you do that.
It just drives me
Very intense button mashing, yeah.
Because like I'm terrible with passwords, so like whenever I'm trying to log into my Xbox anything, I always have to redo my email and password like
Oh, yeah, that's the
800
worst.
times,
Yeah.
and I just hate the freaking keyboard. So I couldn't imagine actually trying to type in a chat
I think
on a keyboard. On Xbox.
I guess that makes it sound like Microsoft are trying to make like a lifestyle platform that includes their PC, Xbox, and whatnot, and they're trying to make it really friendly for everyone to do, to
Yeah.
stream, to join.
I do think Xbox's strategy, I think for a long time with Phil Spencer, is they're trying to make it accessible. Like I think
exactly.
accessibility has always been
Yeah.
the key thing going forward for the past couple of years. If you just look at things like their I forget the name of it, but the controller they made I think last year for physically disabled people. That allowed
Omni something.
Yeah, it allowed for multiple inputs basically for physically disabled and mentally disabled people to basically play games a lot easier. And I think that was like the most easiest way to kind of see what their strategy has been. And things like Xbox Game Pass and like consolidating Game Pass with Xbox Live into like an easy subscription service. It's about breaking down those barriers to entry to play games, as well as with their console lineup and making Xbox games go onto PC now, like for the first time in years. It's basically they want to give you the choice to play where you want to play and play how you want to play as well. So I think going forward with the next generation of consoles, you'll probably see a bigger focus on that, where all games will be day one on PC and Xbox. There'll be cross-play, there'll be cross-saves,
Yeah.
and there'll be integrations with Mixer. Like you can stream Mixer from your console really easily,
Yeah.
and then you can pick that up on the PC later down the track.
Yeah.
So it's further lowering that barrier for entry to get more people on the platform, so that if they only have an Xbox One they paid $200 for at a Boxing Day sale, and when they eventually do get the following, or they do get the money to then upgrade to a PC to kind of up their stream game, then they can do that.
Yeah.
They can basically grow with the platform. I think that what they're doing is really smart. Whether or not it works in time, like, because it will take time. Like, I'm not saying this is going to happen next year, but maybe, 3-5 years from now, the landscape could be so different, and Twitch could have to actually start putting in the effort to actually make a point as to why they're the better platform. Because yes, they have the retainer viewership, but they have to make waves to actually make sure these people stay. And when a lot of their big players are leaving, it does send messages to people that it's like, okay, well, if I'm new or if I'm, a middle-sized streamer, is it worth it moving to another platform because of that accessibility and the fact that there's actually more support going into it and they enforce their rules a bit better as a topic that people consider these days.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like Twitch has been quite static with their new creative.
It's like any industry leader. They don't have to try or really do anything if they already have all the market share. But that will come back to haunt them.
Exactly.
Because like it's just happening right now. Like a few months ago, before these acquisitions started, I was talking to Mixer streamers and they were like, yeah, we really didn't feel like Mixer was really... Like there was talk amongst the community that Mixer was kind of on the way out. Like they weren't investing money into it, they weren't investing time, or their community managers weren't really engaging with streamers, not really helping at all. And the consensus was, we're probably just going to move to Twitch because Mixer doesn't really seem to be getting the support that it needs to actually succeed and thrive. Whereas these acquisitions now, the expectation is that there's a lot of money being spent on these guys, and they have expectations on their end that this platform is going to survive for the foreseeable future. So there is an expectation that this platform needs to grow, not just have these guys come over and then that be the end of that. There needs to be more improvements on the lower side of things, and the small streamers need to be supported for that as well to make that initiative actually pay off.
Yeah. I do wonder if like the bigger, like, because I know there was all that controversy with affiliates getting a lot of the same stuff as like partnered streamers on Twitch, and a lot of big streamers kind of, well, not a lot of them, but like a number of them weren't entirely happy with that. And I've noticed that affiliates are actually getting more and more and more stuff now. And I'm not sure if that has any correlation, because like being a partner, you're not getting any new stuff really. Like maybe
new stuff isn't what? Like,
well, I don't know, like things that help benefit them. Like I do feel like affiliates are getting a lot of cool stuff. I mean, like as an affiliate myself, hey, I'm not complaining, but like, I don't know. It's just like, I guess the big people maybe, a reason for them to look at going to Mixer might be because they don't feel like they're being supported enough for what they've earned. I don't know. Because like I was reading what the guy who left today was saying, and it just kind of seems like he was kind of pointing out that he just feels like Twitch just isn't supporting what he wants to do on there. Like what his goals aren't being supported. Like, he says like things that he wants to do, which is doing good in gaming, everything from helping broadcasters establish themselves, mentoring, growing broadcasters, raising money for charity, and putting on events. Like it kind of sounds like what he was kind of saying is that Mixer's obviously promising to support these things more than Twitch is, which I do find interesting. I don't know. It's interesting to hear like their reasoning for moving over as well. That's what I find kind of curious.
I do think there's differences, like besides the obvious being, Twitch being around longer and having more of a retention and market share in terms of viewers. I think the differences between Twitch and Mixer is that Mixer it originated from Microsoft, like a company that's been around for like decades now. They know how to run a company. They know how to build a company or build a brand. Like with Xbox, they entered the console market as an American company that was basically dominated by Japanese companies, PlayStation, Nintendo, and Sega from one point. And they made a name for themselves. Like the 360 era was their era.
360 destroyed PlayStation.
I was
3
one of those losers that had a PlayStation 3 because I was a PlayStation 1 fan.
What a loser. I had a 360. I loved my 360 so much.
And like that was the thing. Like everyone had 360s. I had a PlayStation 3. It's like I was the guy that couldn't play multiplayer games with them.
You could play Last of Us though.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty good.
The end of the cycle. That was so great.
That's right, just in time.
But no, like they have that expertise and that background to kind of, they can establish a company, but obviously to grow it is a lot more outside factors that limit it and make it more challenging. So they do have a battle ahead of them to kind of make that work. But with Twitch, it started as a startup. and then
Yeah.
they got bought out by Amazon, and now Amazon has its own
just
kind of
grew.
objectives. They want to turn a profit at all costs. That's kind of their strategy is always like basically fire and fury, basically. Like they want to just dominate by spending as much money as possible to get as much return as possible, even if they operate at a loss. So that's kind of their strategy across all their products as Amazon as a company. But in terms of like who's running Twitch now, like I don't know if they have the actual expertise to actually kind of compete with that that kind of professionalism you have with a company like Mixer that has that sort of background of Microsoft. It feels like very different business strategies going forward.
Yeah. Cool. Well, moving on to our final topic of the day, which so I don't know, I this hasn't really like been in like the news so much, but I just stumbled upon a video by Angry Joe, who discovered that so there's a Call of Duty mobile game which apparently is actually pretty decent. I've heard it's actually not bad. It's actually pretty fun, which I didn't see coming myself. But anyway, so they recently started Halloween event that was like called a lucky draw, and it's basically there's like a little board and there's a number of things you can win, including like a really cool looking skin and a really cool looking gun. And then another YouTuber actually pointed out that over 5 different YouTubers' experiences of opening these random drops, that within the last 2 drops, or at least the last 1 drop, that's when you would unlock the more high value, high tier items. So they basically calculated that you would have to take about 23,500 COD points to unlock them, which is roughly around $200, like $150. And out of 5 people that did this, all of them had to spend at least $150 in order to get one of the 2 highest tier things, which is kind of interesting how that worked. And so I thought that was a bit rotten, to be honest, especially when they're painting it as being random. And like loot boxes are often in the media of being like, what's the deal with loot boxes? And then like on the same day, I noticed that Fallout 76 came out saying that they're introducing a subscription service for their game, which is arguably pretty busted already. And I have that as well, which is, it sounds really bad for US dollars, but it's worse in Australian dollars. $179.95 Australian dollars for 12 months of Fallout 76 first membership. Because everyone's saying 100 because it's US, but it's like, it's actually a bit more for us because of how terrible our dollar is. And so for that, you get private worlds, which you can play in with a world exclusively for you and up to 7 friends, so only 8 people. You get a scrap box, which gives you unlimited storage, a survival tent, which you can fast travel to all the time, a bunch of atoms to spend in their store, an outfit, and some icons and emotes. And that's $180 Australian. And so I just thought it was weird in such a small time frame that like these 2 companies, just kind of big franchises, you know, Activision, Bethesda, big companies came up with these things that both of which don't sound very great, to be honest. Like both of them aren't quite ideal. So yeah, it just struck me as definitely a case of like, they're really blatantly just like flogging people for money. Like they're not even really hiding it. Like I feel like the things you get for the $180 really isn't that much. Like it's really not, is it really worth that much? Like if I'm paying $180, I want a server for as many friends as I want, like not 8, you know? And like I said, like if you're paying for a loot box that's meant to be completely random and you could get any of these items, it's really strange that out of X amount of people, everyone got almost the exact same items in the exact same order. You know, so yeah, I don't know if you guys have any experiences with this kind of stuff happening yourselves, or what your feelings are on this kind of things going on.
I would think that the Betheeeda,
good old Betheeeda, love them.
That one I understand a bit more because it takes resources from them.
Okay.
And yes, it probably is pretty expensive. But obviously I think they're trying to counteract their costs of their maintenance and running servers for what you get. And whether that's fair or not,
Yeah.
it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But the loot boxes, that like is just blatantly, just what's the word? I don't know. Triggering people's like interest and gambling, wanting to get that higher tier loot.
Right, yeah.
I really disagree with it. In terms of it should most genuinely be random. It should it should be illegal, right?
Yeah, it's in that weird grey area, hey?
Yeah,
Because,
it's-
like, they say that it's random, but it's like this guy has literally trolled through all the footage, like,
Yeah.
this does not look random. Like, it shouldn't happen, like, maybe one person and then 100. That 100th person, maybe they might have a similar drop.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't happen like 5 people in a row that it's the same. Like, that's just kind of to a point where it's a bit like, you guys even trying? Like, if you're gonna do it, like, make it subtle, I suppose, But yeah, I don't know. I just found them a bit weird. But the thing with Fallout 76 though is that you have to pay for the game itself though
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And that's like $80 for the game itself, and then you've got to, or then they want
Not
you
so
to.
much anymore. I think you can find it for like $10 at EB Games these
Really?
days.
I
Yeah.
mean, look, maybe.
Like a week
To
after
be
it
honest,
came out, I
maybe.
think it was already down below half price.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole nother ball game because they came out with so many issues. Like they brought out the game with so many issues.
Yeah.
They should have.
That's the
shouldn't
thing.
have done that.
That's the thing that like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Come on, Betheeeda.
That's like, Alex, how can you say
That's gonna
something
go on
so
a
brave
shirt
but
as
so
well.
controversial?
Come on, Betheeeda. That's
Come on,
our
Betheeeda.
second shirt for the merch store.
Yes, I've already got two
Got
quotes. Where are you,
two.
Taylor? Come on, man.
The thing
Up your
with
game.
I think the thing with the Fallout 76 situation at the moment is that this could have been handled so much better, and it could have actually worked. Like this
Yeah.
subscription service could have actually been fine had the game released in a stable state and actually had content that was actually worth paying the
Yeah.
asking price for.
Exactly.
But not only did it release buggy and broken, but it had lack of content and just general lack of content and roadmap, essentially. And even with their planned DLC that they announced at E3 earlier this year to actually have quests and NPCs in the world, they delayed that.
It's been delayed, yeah.
They announced it like a couple of weeks ago that it was going to be delayed till next year in 2020. And then a few weeks after that delay, they go, oh, by the way, here's a subscription service we paid. You've charged money for. Bye.
And it's like,
Like
wait, what?
they put a blog post out, no real like fanfare, no video, because obviously they didn't want to attract too much attention to it. They purely wanted to just advertise it to the community that's still playing it. Like,
Yeah.
bless them, but they're still playing it despite its flaws.
So yes, our mics died just before, so that's why there might be a weird cut just then. But we're gonna act like nothing happened and
Yeah.
everything's fine. It's all good.
And now
But-
there's a massive fly.
Now there's a massive fly in here, just making loud noises, so I'm going to have fun editing that out. But no, I was going to say the biggest annoyance I had with something like this, it's not really DLC, but it's not really I don't know what it is. But like, with The Sims has always had expansion packs
Yep.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
And then about
I feel so bad for the Sims community because I feel like it's like secretly the community that gets the most like screwed over in terms of DLC.
really
but no one
do.
talks about it because they're not filled with like angry gamer boys. They're all like girls and like there's some guys, but like mostly girls, right?
Yeah.
So like they basically just like cop it on the chin. It's like, oh well, I guess I'm going to spend $500 on a expansion set that lets my sim go to university and have a dog. Like it's like.
Well, the worst part is you have to pay for 2 because you can't get one of those. You have to get 2 separate ones
Yeah.
because you get
And it's-
university and your dog separate.
And it's every new game as well.
Yeah.
Like
You
when
fork
they
it out.
eventually get around to releasing The Sims 5, which they'll probably do in a couple of years, they'll release all those same expansions again.
Yeah,
like
they
it won't be
always
just in
do
the
it.
base game because they've already made it. They're like, we'll make it again, but in DLC
Yeah.
form.
But I think the thing that hurts the most is that, so like The Sims 2, which is by far the best Sims game, like they had expansion packs too, but it was kind of fine because the amount that was in them, you could kind of justify
Yeah.
it. Whereas now they're rehashing the same idea. So they're doing, pets again, but they're not giving you as much content as they
Yeah.
did like 10 years ago. And like it's such an obvious case of you're just stretching the money out and just
piecemeal. Yeah.
trying to, and like, so there was this big controversy that like, was it like, not last year, but the year before, where they released the Cats and Dogs expansion, which everybody really liked. And then about 2-3 months later, they released this other pack that was like what did they call it? It was like My First Pet. And basically it was like very obvious that they had just trimmed stuff out of cats and dogs to then put in a separate one. So like, for example, there was this bed set. There was like a bed, bedside table, and a wardrobe that all matched. And then in the My First Pet stuff, there is a matching desk that wasn't in cats and dogs. So it's like, it's so obvious that they've just gone, we can make two from this. And you actually, and then there's also these like outfits for all your dogs and cats, right? But if you don't have the cats and dog stuff, but you just have My First Pet stuff, there is like 80% of that pack you can't use because you don't need cats and dogs to buy that pack. So it's like such a bad, like, I don't know why anyone thought this was okay. And like everyone in the community went nuts over it and was just like, this is ridiculous, you know? But like, for some reason, there doesn't, like, they just kind of accept it. Like EA just like, yeah, we don't care. Like, and it's just so sad because the community of Simmers like are so dedicated and love it so much. But yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know. And like their community is quite young. Like the Sims players do skew kind of younger. So it's kind of like you're literally taking advantage of children with their pocket money right here. Yeah. You know, it's so bad. But, you know,
I guess it depends on, as you were saying, where that new thing is going to come into, like for buying games. Or I actually think that Origin, with the Origin subscription, that could be something that would be almost really good in that it allows you to play any game
on it
for a set fee, and you get like basically everything, like all DLC and everything.
I do think on the consumer side, it's going to be interesting because I do think there's benefits on the consumer side. It's obviously cheaper, but there is a recurring cost. So you'll be spending more than a full release game in a year. Like if it's $10 a month, you're going to be spending $120 a year.
And hopefully you play at least two.
Yeah, the
to
hope
three.
is you pay, but there's sometimes like with my Netflix subscription, I don't watch anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, damn, I just spent $20 and I didn't watch anything because I was
At the same
doing
time,
other stuff.
I feel like the general consensus with welcome to the podcast, Mr. Fly.
He's
a
on
fly
my
has
mic.
just
Can't
landed
zoom
on
in on
Taylor's
that.
mic, which you can't see if you're listening only to this, but that's why you should check out the video version. Oh, there we go.
You just get scared of a fly.
So great for the audio
fly
only
flying
content.
Oh, great.
This visual issue. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, well, like I feel like the general consensus with Netflix though is that it's kind of fine. Like people don't mind paying that $10 even if they don't watch it.
They
Like,
just raise the price and I'm just kind of like, all right.
yeah, like 'cause it's like you know that even though sure you're not paying, you're not watching everything on Netflix, you do feel like the fact that you can is kind of cool
when
and
you
you're
want
kind of
to.
happy to pay that $10.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's a lot to fork out
The
X amount
only-
of money for a broken game.
Yeah. The only issue I see is just on the developer side. I do feel like they're going to be the ones that get hit hard the most, is that their work is going to be more devalued.
Yeah.
If they're not on those platforms that have streaming services, then their work's going to be a much harder sell to a consumer to be like, well, I pay $10 a month for Origin and I get all these games and new games as well. Am I really going to spend $15 for some indie game?
Yeah, true. People
Probably
who
not.
actually deserve them, like indie developers might.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Gosh, so philosophical. is that your wait and see face?
That's my philosophical face.
Oh, it's very philosophical. We'll
You
put
should
that
do
on
it.
a shirt as well.
Just repeat what I said, eh?
The Alex collection.
You just repeat what I said.
Did I?
You got all the credit, yeah.
What did I repeat?
You said, just wait and see.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's what I said.
Okay, well, good.
Okay, well, good.
Cool. Well, that's probably the end of the podcast. We don't really have an outro yet, really. I think I should ask, what do you guys think our outro should be? Justin's offering last week was stay cool, but we all thought that was terrible, including Justin. So I don't know what we should.
Stay cool.
That is Justin's
Stay
going to say.
cool.
He'll pitch you anything, but then he'll immediately be like, oh, but not really, though. Like, I don't think it's terrible.
But Tigre's like, oh, please pick my idea.
Mine is cool.
I want to be included.
Sorry, Justin.
No, I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like follow our Twitter and our Instagram
Yeah.
for Taylor's A+ tweets and
Yeah.
Instagrams, and
Join the Discord.
join the Discord. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
YouTube, got stuff on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes.
yeah, we do stuff there.
Yep. I have a blog. Go read that,
Oh yeah,
please.
Blog.com.
you've been doing lots of
thermaltake.com.
work on that.
I mean, I've been. It's been alright.
It's been.
It's been yeah.
It's been a thing.
So,
Yeah, it's been there.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, well, the sign off for this week will be you guys. What do
okay.
you want to say as this final word?
Thermal mic.
Why? You have to cut that.
Thermal dermal.
No, here it comes. Here it comes.
Here. Oh, no, so much better.
Well, what's another word?
This has been your Thermaltake episode with Taylor and Alex.
Thermal talk.
Ah.
Try it again.
I thought it was really good.
What's another synonym for thermaltake? So, like, what's another word for thermal and another word for take?
Temperature.
Temperature give.
Temperature acquire. Temperature acquire podcast. Wait, why? Why are we doing that?
Temperature present.
Temperature present.
This has been your temperature present from Thermal Talk. Yeah, there you go. Done. Next. Thank you. Next.
Who are you?
Oh my god.
What? What is that?
Temperature give.
Temperature.
I said, what's another synonym for thermal take?
Yeah, I don't get it.
What's the opposite of taking something?
Yeah, I know that.
That's
I
an
get-
antonym.
I get that.
Yeah.
But like, why?
'Cause. Why not? Bye.
Okay, bye.
That works too.
See you later.